That's when everything went dark for me, and I stopped remembering, because he put the block in, so whatever they did to me, I wouldn't, consciously remember it.
Okay. Along those lines, do you remember interactions with the Catholic Church?
Yes, I've seen ritual sacrifices of children in the Vatican, in the bowels of it. It's vile. It's the most vile place on earth. It's the most evilest, darkest. It is evil personified. God is not there. God left the building. God never entered that building and never will. Okay. He wants that building gone. He wants all of the popes gone. He's done with those popes. That whole scenario there is nothing but a sacrificial, ritualistic, evil. I can't even say enough about that place. It's awful. It's the worst place in the world.
Okay, but I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the Black Pope?
Yes.
Okay. Did you meet him?
Consciously, I don't remember that.
Okay.
If I did.
Okay.
I'm sure. I mean, with everything that I've been through, I'm sure I have on more than one occasion.
I think it's logical to assume that, but I'm not going to, put words in your mouth over here.
Right.
So with that in mind, though, we're talking about reptilians, and because there's so much misunderstanding about reptilians out there, I just want to make sure that it's clear. So you believe that at least the reptilians you dealt with and the half of reptilian that you are, you believe that's a positive, in other words, we say service to others being?
Absolutely.
Okay. But you would acknowledge that the reptilians that you saw sacrifice humans, etc., are not service to self, would you not?
They are service to self.
I mean, service to others.
Yeah.
They're service to self beings.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So with that in mind...
and it's just a small minority of them. It's like on Earth, you have the humans that, most humans are really good humans, they just want peace and they just want to live. They want to do what God put them here to do, and that's just advance their souls. But then you've got that little faction of people that just fight against everything, and it's not the good fight, not the fight that I'm in. It's the fight to continue to hold us in this third dimensional density that we're in, and yeah, it's just a small minority. You have a lot more good ETs than you have bad.
Okay, and as far as what's going on though here on Earth, you do see the controllers moving in to take control of society.
Yes.
And sort of tightening the reins on society. You
Absolutely.
See the movement of the New World Order.
Absolutely,
and
the Fourth Reich.
Yes.
Yes.
And the head of that would be the reptilians,
Yes.
right? The
Obama
service
serves them well.
to self. Okay. And are you also aware of what is called the Anunnaki?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And is it your understanding that the Anunnaki and the reptilians are not the same beings? Or do you think that they're the same?
Anunnaki is it encompasses many races.
Okay, right. But if I was to say Anunnaki in the sense that Sitchin talked about, in other words, Enki, Enlil, and Anu, if I was to say those three names, and I was to say that as Anunnaki, those are at least how they're depicted on the Egyptian temples is as humanoid, looking. In other words, they can be 9 feet tall.
They weren't human.
Okay, and so do you believe that they were reptilian?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What about the notion that they might be half and half?
It's a possibility.
Okay, have you heard of Syrian reptilians?
No.
Syrian Anunnaki? You haven't heard of that?
No.
Okay. Because my understanding is that there is more than one race of that particular group from Nibiru, and that some of them appear to be
make sense.
Syrian.
Total sense. You got Earth that has many different races.
Yes.
So why not Nibiru?
Exactly. But it is an interesting sort of line of investigation, let's say, because what I find is that people have different perceptions and different understanding about who the Anunnaki are. This race of Anunnaki are the ones that are descended from Enki, Enlil, and so this is a certain race, and they appear to be, from what I can tell, half reptilian and half what appears to be a humanoid-like species. rather than pure reptilian.
Right, right.
Okay, which is we, in a sense, and this is me throwing this out, we have a smaller portion of reptilian than they do. So exactly, we're not half and half, although you say you are. We're more, some of the humans here are a portion reptilian, but then more other races. In fact, my investigations,
we're what I call a hodgepodge.
yes.
You know?
Well, I would say there's a base 12 various species of ETs that went into what makes humans,
Well,
what we call
absolutely.
this
That's why you got
human.
Majestic 12.
There you go. So you're aware of this sort of thing, this
Absolutely.
line of inquiry. Okay.
I just don't talk about it a lot.
Okay. But you see that it's okay to talk about in at least.
Now I do. I
Yeah.
just haven't in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am very interested in people starting to understand our ET heritage, so to speak.
Absolutely, I am too. That's the main thing for me. I have taught all of my children so that they're absolutely aware of where they're from, who they are, and the fact that don't think it's a curse to be a half reptilian. They look at it as a gift now. You know, my son for a while cursed it, you know, but now he sees that he was given a gift. You know, you got to look. A lot of super soldiers don't look at what they get as a gift, you know, and a lot of the bloodliners don't look at what they get as a gift, and really it is a gift. We're here for a purpose, and our blood serves that purpose.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we have a limited amount of time here, and you know, this is a great opportunity and a great chance to talk to you and go down these roads. Maybe we can do this again in the future, even long
Absolutely.
distance. If you're in San Diego, actually, you're not that far from me.
I can always drive up.
Okay, and so because I happen to be just north of LA.
Okay.
But at this moment, just in the interest of time, you went through this torture, you've witnessed torture. At a certain point, you must have been like before your awakening, so to speak. How did you deal with it before your awakening?
I was very promiscuous.
Okay, so you
I
were
searched for
exercising. Okay.
Searching for love any way I could get. And I was married at this time, you know. I've been married since 1989. So my husband has had to put up with a lot, but he something inside of him told him that he just needed to stick with me through it because there was a bigger picture that was going to be figured out later. And obviously there was. But I became extremely promiscuous, and that's my monarch programming, you know, that was coming out of me. I would always be promiscuous with military men. It was always a military man.
Okay. When you say you had monarch programming, did you go on any kind of missions in those roles?
Yes. I can remember taking one man to his death.
Okay. So in a sense, you knew you were being used or programmed, even though you weren't awakened the way sort of we're talking about it.
Oh, there was always something off in my mind. I knew there was something that I needed to figure out about myself because I couldn't pinpoint why was I doing these behaviors? Why was I acting out? Why would I get so upset? Why would I go sleep with all these men? I have a beautiful, wonderful husband, and I would go off searching for love, and I had unconditional love at home. You know, I had what I didn't have with my parents. I had the love that was absolutely unconditional from my husband.
Okay, but aside from being a wife, you were programmed as a monarch's sort of slave, right?
Right.
And perhaps being sent on missions during those years as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even astrally speaking.
A lot of my work was done astrally.
Okay. At the same time, you were aware that you were a Rothschild. Is that correct?
I wasn't aware that I was a Rothschild until about 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you think you were?
I didn't know what I was.
So you knew you grew up in Washington, D.C. You knew that you were in the Pentagon as a child?
Oh, that was an aware memory that I've always had.
Okay, so
About
you
the
were
Pentagon.
aware of that. So you knew you came from like the military-industrial complex, so to
Yes,
speak.
I even remembered the rapes that were done to me at 4 years old, but I didn't know why they happened to me. I thought it was just something that happened to me. I didn't realize it was part of the programming. That was my very initial breakdown. That was the time when they took me from 1 to 2. You understand what I mean, from
Right.
one personality to 2. And then they were able to start working on me. They took me away from the man that loved me so much, and that was Mangala. And that broke me in and of itself. And that breaking plus the rapes did it. I split then.
Okay, right now I'm talking to Aaron.
Right, absolutely.
Is there multiple?
I like to think I've integrated, but who knows, you know.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
They tried to wipe my before I came to this summit. They did try to wipe my mind, and they put I was almost completely wiped, and my children, my husband had to help me through it. I had to read letters and messages, texts, look at my Facebook. I had to start relearning myself again. So I've had to learn my memories twice. But they put an alter in me that was named Sarah Sinclair. And that's why I go by Sarah Sinclair on my Facebook, because I was identifying with that when they were wiping my mind. And right before I came here, they me-lapped me every night for like 2 weeks straight. They were trying to tell me my husband doesn't love me anymore, your family doesn't love you, you know, nobody loves you anymore, and breaking me down so that I didn't come here.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it.
I am too. It's the most amazing time in my life, because I finally found what I considered my family.
Okay. You know, there's an interesting thing going on with you that I want to throw out there. I'm an
Sure.
intuitive, and I see things sometimes, and I just want to throw this out and see where you go with it.
Okay.
When I saw you on stage, you look like a much older woman. When I see you here, you look much younger. In other words, you seem to kind of be morphing, and you seem to actually, in a sense, you seem to be more in your 20s, where you are kind of like in your mental environment. Like, as you're talking to me, you seem like a person in their 20s who's just discovering themselves. That's how you seem.
I've had people tell me that before, actually.
Really?
Yeah, you're not the first.
Okay. Yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic. So you can you kind of feel that?
I feel it when I start talking. I can feel my vibration just spin so fast.
But
Yeah.
I mean, are you having a sense of time traveling? Might be too strong of a term, but in this sense, when I'm talking to you right now, it's almost as if the years between, you say you're 44, and that came into my head, so I assume that's correct. Between 44 and say 20, do you feel that there was something that went in during that time span, that somehow, in order to leap back to have this conversation we're having in a sense, you almost have to go back to being 20 again?
Yes, makes absolute sense.
It does?
Makes
Okay, it
absolute
just seems
sense.
like a weird dynamic happening
You just
here.
put a puzzle piece in for me. Thank you, Carrie.